Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about having a balanced approach when it comes to the problem that we have in the Western world with our obesity crisis and understanding what actually causes it. All right, and I don't think that we need to get into the psychology or the trauma aspects or any of that, because we do know that there is a trauma and an addictive portion, an element to binge eating and other stuff, right? We know that that exists. There's a lot of psychology behind that. However, that's not responsible for the larger amount of obesity, meaning maybe 10, maybe 15% of the population has some deeper psychological issues that cause a disordered or addictive aspect to their food, right? And that's a totally separate case. That has to be dealt with separately. That's trauma and things that those people are going to have to work through as an individual, or they may never work through, and they just have to define different ways and strategies and devise strategies to work around that trauma, particularly people who suffer from binge eating and things. But that's a different issue, right? That's a totally different topic. The majority of people who have obesity in Western countries, which is now becoming the majority, has nothing to do with psychological trauma. It's nothing to do with them being abused as children and other stuff. It is for a percentage of them, right? So what's causing it? Everyone tries to make up all this nonsense, and it's always they want to demonize a specific food. And you know what? None of that is supported by the evidence. We know that it's caloric intake, right? It's calories in versus calories out. And when I make a statement like that, the most annoying thing is when someone says, oh, you're telling me that if people eat these exact number of calories? No. Because the quality of your food will affect calories out also, not just calories in. And if you're eating all this hyperpalatable garbage, and I'm sorry, it's not food. We can call it all you want, and a lot of the flexible dieters will say, well, that sounds like if you think that there are bad foods, then, you're part of the problem. And it's like, I'm sorry, it's not food. If it's a hyperpalatable pile of chemical mush that you have made that happens to taste really good, that's not food. Okay, that's not food. You guys are delusional. Okay, that's not food. It's a big pile of chemical madness nightmare that you put together that happens to taste good. All right, it hits all your taste buds. It's not food, not found anywhere in nature, or even in normal agriculture. So I can't stand that crowd when they start with that nonsense. Okay, your pancakes with extra icing on them is not food. Might be some food components to it. But let's discuss some of these things. It is calories, though. Calories in versus calories out. Okay, you're not breaking the laws of thermodynamics. And people say, well, you can't use simple thermodynamics. Yes, you actually can. Because all these things that you guys think violated are calories out. Every single thing that anyone comes up with to dispute calories in versus calories out is always part of the calories out equation. Okay, if you're urinating excess ketones out, that's calories out. If you're not absorbing all your food because it's really high in fiber and you're defecating some of the calories out, that's still calories out. Do you understand that? If it makes you more energetic so that you move more and you burn an extra 800 calories a day, that's calories out. You haven't violated the thermodynamics. If it requires your body to utilize more energy to break it down through the thermic effect of food, still calories out. You're not getting around it, and it's pretty well supported in the metabolic ward in the lab. You're going to have a hell of a time disproving calories in versus calories out based upon the evidence that we have at this point. In fact, you're going to look pretty stupid if you try. So let's understand what's going on with it. It's hyperpalatable foods. And it's not just one component. It's the whole collage of these things that are to blame. People say, oh, it's refined sugars causing it. No, it's not refined sugar by itself. Is it a factor? Yes. But have you ever seen anyone binge on a bag of sugar? Have you ever just felt the desire to overeat a big bag of sugar with a spoon? Have you ever opened up a big old thing of table sugar and eaten 3,000 calories of it with a spoon? Okay, if you're not doing that on a daily basis, it's not the sugar. Same thing, you'll get the vegans, oh, it's the animal products. Like, really? Because there's a lot of people who lose 100 pounds eating nothing but meat on a keto diet. There are plenty of people who eat a pound of steak every day while losing 100 pounds. You're telling me that red meat is to blame? You're a moron. You're as stupid as the sugar person. You have no clue what in the hell you're talking about. Right? You guys are just as bad. So what is it really? What's going on? It's a combination. It's calorically dense, hyperpalatable foods that cause people to overeat. And I know the flexible dieters jump up and say, you can't blame that. It's people not having control. Well, I'm sorry, but that is why most people don't have control. I am not of the opinion that the majority of people are capable of moderation. See, that is the whole mindset behind this whole movement in the fitness world. Also on the other extreme, who don't want to blame any individual food. They go from some people saying, oh, some foods are to blame, and they usually get it wrong, to people saying no food is to blame. Really? Because if no food was to blame, then why is everyone fat? It's because most people aren't capable of moderation. The people who are successful moderators, I believe, are a minority of people. I think at most that's a third of the population can moderate. I don't think humans are good at moderation. I don't think as a whole we are. I don't think we are. My opinion. Okay, my opinion. I'm going to say that for most people, just having these foods not in your house at all, there's your solution. Don't have hyperpalatable, calorically dense foods in your house. Your obesity problem will go away. Quit buying them. Because people overeat foods that taste really good, that are not very filling relative to the amount of calories they have. Okay, that's why people overeat. It's pretty straightforward. It's very easy to overeat pizza. It's very easy to overeat ice cream. It's very easy to overeat cake. What do they all have in common? Well, they all have lots of fat and lots of refined carbs and refined sugars mixed together. Well, that's your combination for hyperpalatability. What is it that we crave? Salty, sweet, and fatty. That's what we crave. That's what we taste. That's what we like. Any combination of those, easy to eat. Very hyperpalatable. Calorically dense. Well, if we've got a bunch of refined carbs, particularly refined sugars, we've got a lot of calories piled in with a lot of flavor, no fiber to slow it down. We absorb it and digest it quick, and then with a bunch of fat to really raise that caloric density up and make it taste great. Right? I mean, donuts taste phenomenal. It's a big pile of garbage. I mean, if you think about what all's in a donut, but they taste amazing. Okay, there's your situation. People are not getting fat because they're eating carbs. People are not getting fat because they're eating animal products. Okay? No one has an obesity problem who sits around eating steak and potatoes. Okay? I'm going to look at that for a moment. Eat steak and potatoes all day. Have the average fat person go on a diet of nothing but steak and potatoes. I'm not telling you to do that. This is a hypothetical. They're going to lose weight. They probably will start losing weight. Go on a diet of white rice, chicken, and vegetables, and watch how fast you lose body fat if you're a fat person. Those are two very different diets. It's not carbs that are blamed. It's not high glycemic index carbs. It's not potatoes, white rice, fruit that are causing it. It's not the fat in red meat or in your eggs or your dairy. It's the combination of hyperpalatability with caloric density. If people go on just single ingredient foods, I'm not saying they'll get ripped. I'm not saying they'll get ultra lean, but I promise you if that's what people ate 99% of the time, other than an occasional social gathering, there would be almost no obesity. It would be almost non-existent. Now, if we got people physically active, got them in the gym, that would help even further. But I mean, realistically, I want you guys to think about that. Is there any culture on earth that eats lean proteins with large amounts of white rice that's obese? No. Groups of people who live on red meat and potatoes, are they fat? No. That's not our problem. It's not these whole foods, guys. It's not any one food group that's to blame. Hell, it's not even the table sugar by itself. It's the combination of table sugar with vegetable oil and deep frying everything in vegetable oil and loading large amounts of fat in with sugar combined together. Okay? Refined carbs with refined fat all piled together. Okay, that's what's causing it. Just largely what your fast food and desserts are. Those things should be seen as treats, not meals. The fact that our treat food that should be eaten as a dessert once a week or twice a week or special occasions has become the norm, and we see it as food, as sustenance. That's why we have an obesity problem, and it's available in unlimited quantities. Kind of come back to my other point, any of the type of diets I just described above, which describe all sorts of different diets, nobody's getting fat on those. It's when they try to take any of those diets and they want to add stuff, like people who do a keto diet lose a bunch of weight. It works quite well. It's when they start saying, I need to make keto treats, right? I want to go back to the same piles of garbage I had before, and if I just don't have many carbs in it, it'll be fine. No, you went right back to making a hyper-palatable, calorically dense food because you just got tired of eating steak. And that's why you were losing weight, by the way, because it's hard to eat steak and eggs day in and day out and hit your calories. You start getting kind of bored of it. You eat less. When you add the keto brownies back in, that you get fat. Same thing. You could eat chicken and rice, right? Let's go the other approach. Almost no fat. Still a refined grain, but a starchy carb. People lose weight on that just fine. It's when they need to add the other stuff in because it's boring. It's hard to overeat it. So now they're like, let me add all the special sugary sauces to it. All right, we need to add the peanut sauce to it. We need General Tso's chicken, not just the grilled chicken and rice. We go back to that hyperpalatable caloric density. That's what gets us. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.